if you want sales and you want to be motivated to get those sales, you're gonna have a very hard time because motivation is the hardest thing to come by. And motivation is fleeting. Motivation comes to you, kisses you on the cheek, and then leaves. Your mindset is so much more important than motivation. You have to go into a sales period. You have to go into a launch, understanding that things will not go as you expected. How then will you show up? How then will you choose that this is going to be the way that I am going to show up? Every time I do a promotion, every time I do a launch, every time I'm in a sales cycle, I'm learning one new thing. And that is what makes me a stronger business owner. And that is going to be the thing that's going to push you through. Welcome back to the Jasmine Star Show, where today we are going to be focusing on, amongst other things, sales. That is the overarching kind of soup du jour today, meal du jour today. Why am I talking? Why do I, when I get nervous, do I start pretending like I speak French? Je m'appelle Jasmine. Welcome to the show. We're gonna be talking about how behind the scenes look. I do my 7-figure launches. Now, I started realizing I was getting a lot of questions specifically around sales. And so what I decided to do was go to Instagram and I asked people for their questions. So we're gonna be doing a Q&A and you're gonna be seeing a lot of these questions come up. So shout out to the people who left their questions and empowered me to ask them. So when I'm talking about sales, you're gonna hear me use a specific word. We call it a launch. This is a specific sales strategy. Now, a launch isn't something magical. This is just the terminology. So when you hear me saying this, you can think to yourself, it is a specific promotional period. We're doing something with a defined outcome in a given amount of time. That is what we're referring to as a launch. So I'm gonna be focusing these sales questions around launch-specific mechanisms that we use within the business. Now, I did get a couple people asking me, like, Jasmine, when you say mechanism, what are you actually referring to? A mechanism is a way that you will sell something in a given amount of time. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But if you want more information on how I launch my digital offers, how you can launch a digital offer, I'm teaching a live class, and this is your invite. The secret to making lots of money with digital offers. You can save your seat at jasminestar.com/digital offer. I'm so excited for this class. We're gonna be breaking down exactly what I do to have my 7-figure launches and how I started with a very simple PDF. Oh, we're gonna get to that in a second. So we're gonna be focusing on our sales specific Q&A. So let's dive right in. And for those of you who generously ask these questions, I appreciate you. So we're gonna start off with a shout out to Christine Bortson. What is the best way to sell? Is it still through a webinar or something else? So let's get on the same page. Remember how I just mentioned the word mechanism? Well, this is how you are going to sell a digital offer. Now, there is not a right way, there's not a wrong way, there's not the best way. There's just a myriad of ways. So I've tried a variety of launches, a variety of launching by way of a sales mechanism. I've taught a live class, which is what she just referred to as a webinar. I have done recorded classes, so these are evergreen classes. I've done a boot camp. I have done an email challenge. I have done an in-application challenge. I have done sales calls. I have done paid ads into a funnel behind the scenes that's going just to cold traffic. So we have tried a lot of different ways to launch and offer a product in order for us to see which gets more sales. Now, I could never find myself saying, yes, a webinar is the best way to launch. A sales call is the best way to launch. It really depends, and it depends on a couple things. And this is what I like to call a theory versus a test. So oftentimes, business owners will find an idea or a theory that business should look this way, that our offer is gonna be sold this way in the best way possible. That's a theory. But your theory gets stronger when you have more tests. So I am a firm believer in if you are wondering, oh, does a webinar convert best for my digital offer? Well, let's test that. And then let's test it again. And then let's test it again. Because your theory is only proven by a series of tests. Or maybe you try a webinar a few times and then you're like, you know what, maybe I should do a challenge. Should I do a free challenge? Let's test it. Should I do a paid challenge? Let's test it. So what happens is that we often beat ourselves up as entrepreneurs if we're having a series of tests and they're not going as well as we had hoped. Well, you're gonna have to do a lot of tests. I believe that business owners grow the most when they have a ton of tests that further confirm their theory, which is why at this point in time, I am hosting a live class because I believe, again, here is another test that I am testing, that I can best communicate valuable information to a group of really smart people and then see if they wanna go deeper and work with me with that. So, test, then come up to your theory. A question from Donna Delia. How do you stay motivated if sales aren't rolling in? Well, I'm going to come out and say, and I have to give a shout out because Donna, you and I have communicated multiple times on DM, and I'm going to say something and I have sharp edges, but it's only meant with love. If you're dependent on motivation, then you are lost before you started. If you want sales and you want to be motivated to get those sales, you're gonna have a very hard time because motivation is the hardest thing to come by, and motivation is fleeting. Motivation comes to you, kisses you on the cheek, and then leaves for 4 months. And then you're sitting around like, why am I not motivated? Why in the middle of a promotion or in the middle of a launch or in the middle of a sale, when things aren't happening, I feel really down? Because your mindset is so much more important than motivation. You have to go into a sales period. You have to go into a launch understanding that things will not go as you expected. How then will you show up? How then will you choose that this is going to be the way that I am going to show up? There were times, so many times, where I've had a promotion or I've had a launch and it didn't fare exactly as I had wanted. And in the middle of it, I want to quit. And in the middle of it, I look around and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way we're coming out of this. And in the middle of it, I had to make the decision to say, I'm not dependent on motivation. I'm not dependent on an emotion to make me feel a certain way. I am dependent on the mindset. I am dependent on saying that history has always brought us out. I am dependent on the fact that I can use what I have learned every step of the way to apply and say that this is not the moment that I quit. This is the moment that I decide to move forward. That, my friend, is motivation. That, my friend, is not motivation. That is mindset. And if you are in the middle of a promotion right now, I'm going to encourage you to say that every promotion, every launch, every sales cycle, learn one new lesson. That's the goal. I don't go into a launch and think, I'm going to be motivated for this launch. No. I'm going to say, I'm going to have my mindset ready for this launch and I'm going to learn one new thing. Now, every time I do a promotion, every time I do a launch, every time I'm in a sales cycle, I'm learning one new thing. And that is what makes me a stronger business owner. And that, Donna Delia, is going to be the thing that's going to push you through. Okay, let's get into Lacey Lane. She asked, what one thing would you focus on during this time? Okay, in a launch and promotional period, what is the one thing that I am highly focused on? Well, it's contingent. Okay, so if the launch is correctly planned and executed, then I am focused on the one thing, personalized engagement. But that is a big contingency if. So many times people will get excited to have a sale, Black Friday, Mother's Day. Maybe they're really excited to have a summer promotion. Maybe they launched a new product line. Maybe they have a new application as part of their SaaS. Maybe they've dropped a new feature and they're really excited to push forward with this, except for the fact that they didn't actually plan to get into it. If you have your launch planned, I am talking about all the content, all the mechanisms, all the sales funnel. If that is ready, great. Then my main thing where I am at the most is personalized engagement. I am in my DMs. I am in the sales box. Like, yes, we have a sales team, and yes, I can get support with social media, but what I am looking at and focusing on is how many people can I touch so I can see what are the trends and what are the patterns. When people are buying a digital offer or product, they want to know that they're not being sold to by a bot. They want to know that the person on the other side of that credit card transaction cares about them. When I am responding to DMs, I will send a photo of myself or I'll send a voice message just to say like, hey, I see you, I appreciate you. Your question is really important. I'm going to answer it right about now. So one thing that I am focused on in a promotional period, personalized engagement, that pays dividends. Let's hop into the next question. This is from Kent House Collective. How many posts per day and emails per week do you send out for your launch? Okay. Here again, I'm going to start off by saying that there's not a right answer. I can tell you, remember in question number 1, how I said we test before we have a theory? We don't have a theory and then try to make it work. We test. So if you, and this is contingent, here's another contingent answer. If you have cultivated your list, if you have created ongoing value with your followers and your newsletter list, if you have consistently posted, and if you have earned their opt-in, if they had said, yes, we want to hear from you throughout this promotion, then once all those things are checked, then I post on social 1 to 2 times a day on my accounts. And I send anywhere from 1 to 4 emails per day, depending on the cycle of the promotion that we're in. Now, some people hear that and they're like, oh my God, that is so much. Correct. But remember, I would never post this much on social or send these many emails if people hadn't raised their hand and said, yes, I want to be a part of that promotion. And I am constantly posting on social and I'm constantly sending newsletters, sharing value, so that 1 or 2 times a year when I'm in a promotion, people have said, I want to be a part of this and I want to hear from you in this capacity. That is how I have seen a big shift in how people are saying yes to an offer that I'm making. Okay, let's dive into a couple questions. Now, these were similar, and I'm going to give these 2 people a shout out by _Jessica C and Wild-Hearted Motherhood. Jessica asked how to get over the cringe of being more present on social media during your promotion. And Wild-Hearted Motherhood said, how long would you prime your audience first if your social is dead and you haven't been posting lately? Well, first and foremost, let's do a little like mindset juke here. I don't want to give an answer without addressing what I think the main thing is. And I want to remind you that we choose every emotion. We don't choose the facts. Fact is, you haven't been posting on social media. The emotion you're choosing is, I feel cringe, I feel behind, I haven't been doing much. That's your choice. The fact is, you haven't been on social media. I would choose the emotion, I'm going to have a plan and I'm going to show up and I'm going to serve well. Can you see how the fact didn't change, but the emotions that we applied to it did? When we change our emotions, the way that we show up and the way that we engage and the way that we promote changes everything dramatically. So how long should you warm your audience up? Well, the longer you can do it before you make an ask, the better it's going to be responded to. So if you are going into a promotion and you're like, man, I have 2 weeks, I'm going to try warming people up. That probably isn't enough time to have your audience rebuild trust with you. Here's why. On average, anywhere about 2% of your followers are going to see a post that you put out on social, on any given social platform. So let's just use Instagram, for example. If you have 1,000 followers and you put out a post, 20 people of the 1,000 people are going to see that post. And let's just say that you post every day for 2 weeks. Well, that's like 20 people see it times 14 days. Great. A few hundred people of the 1,000 followers have seen your warm-up post, but the majority of them have not. And what are you going to do? You're going to start with the sales post. You're going to start with the asks. And people will say, oh, this person hasn't been on social, and all of a sudden they just come on to sell. When people feel like they're only using social media to sell, they immediately trust you less, and that conversion becomes harder. The more time that you can cultivate and warm up those people, the more better that conversion is going to be. And so people who are saying, okay, I feel cringe, I want to remind you that cringe is an emotion that you choose. And being powerful is an emotion that you choose. I will sometimes feel that posting on social feels heavy, or I feel like I'm doing too much, and I simply flip the switch and I say, I'm going to choose a different emotion, and I'm going to say that there is somebody who needs the thing that I am posting today. And then there are some people who are going to look at it and say, she's trying too hard, she's posting too much, this is cringe. That's fine. They were never going to be an audience that I was going to serve. And so if we choose the emotion of, I'm going to serve somebody well, I'm going to do this so long to prepare and warm up the audience so that when I make an offer, they're well inclined to make a decision that is best for them. That, friends, is a place of power when you're going into a sales during promotional period. Okay, let's get into another question to teacher Roseanne. Should I launch a course during the holidays? My classes are beginning on January 14th. Well, my answer kind of, sort of depends. Again, there's not a right or wrong. It depends on if the holidays will lend itself to making a stronger promotion. If you are launching a summer holiday program for teachers who are going on summer break, then yes, you should absolutely be launching during that summer holiday promotion. if you are offering a crafting class to help people make their Christmas gifts instead of buying Christmas gifts, then yes, you should be promoting your classes and offers during the holidays. But generally speaking, if you're trying to have people take a course and it's not beneficial to do it through the holidays, then I would generally recommend staying away from it, because holidays are distractions, happy distractions, but they're very much distractions for potential customers. So the answer depends on, does your offer coincide and make the holidays better? If not, you're gonna have a harder time trying to get people's attention during that time. We're gonna get into Abby Kappa. They asked, is this a good time to launch a new offer, or do we need to stick to what people know? So without knowing everything that you sell, my general response is the big picture for any person launching digital offers is to have a product suite. What is a product suite? A product suite is a series of things that people can buy from you at different stages of their journey. These are ways for people to go deeper and deeper with you. And the more that they spend, AKA the more that the offer becomes, the closer proximity they get to you as the person who's teaching or disseminating that information. So in a perfect world, your ascension model matches your customer journey. So let's just say somebody's just barely getting to know you. You might have a small offer, what people call like a pocket offer. Anything from like $37 to $97. This is a low ticket item that somebody says, I think I'm kind of interested in what this person's selling. And then along that pathway, you can have something for $197 or $297, $497, $997, $297, $497, all the way up. Now that is what you call an ascension model. The more money that they're spending with you, the more that they're learning, the more information, the more value that they're giving with you. That's the ascension model. And this is also called a product suite, a product that is going to align with how they grow within their business. Now, I want you to focus on new offers that empower their journey, not distract from it. So the question is, do I make a new offer or do I stick with what I know? Well, you can make a new offer, but I want to make sure that the offer is going along that ascension model. That it is not, I'm making an offer for a customer who wants to be a business coach, and then I'm also going to make a different offer for somebody who wants to have better skincare. But you can make a different offer along that ascension model as long as that person is growing along with you in that business. Okay, Dr. Bev_Haven asked, do you need a big following to launch a course successfully? And the answer is no, absolutely not. I have seen people with very small followings launch a course with wild success. I have seen people follow our launch formula for an event with wild success. I have seen people follow our launch formula and launch a community with wild success. How do you know that you are going to get success from the thing that you offer? We're gonna focus on three things. Number one, the demand of the desire. Number two, the ease of the transformation. And number three, the duration of the transformation. So let's break these down. The demand of the desire. Do you have a lot of people asking you for this thing that you want to teach or sell or do? If you are somebody who is teaching somebody else how to lose weight, the demand for desire after the holidays, well, that might be really high. Okay, that's a good indication. Maybe you're a fitness professional. Demand is going to be very high. If you then move on to the ease of transformation, how easy does your course, does your community, does your PDF, does your video trainings, how easy does it make that person fulfill the demand for desire? So in this example, somebody wants to lose weight. Well, after the holidays, that demand for desire is very high. The ease of transformation. If you say, okay, I provide a tummy tuck, ease of transformation, that's quick, right? Ease of transformation is I'm going to go through an operation and then at the end of it, I'm going to get a result. Now, if what you're offering is a 9-month transformation program where they have to work out 5 days a week, how easy is that transformation? We have to say that the course will be more successful when the demand is very high and the ease of transformation is very high. How easy it is directly correlates with the demand. Easy transformation, no, now we're going to get even more of a successful offer. And then the duration of the transformation. How long is it going to be for that person to get a result from the thing that it is you're selling? If you have high demand for that desire, If the ease of transformation is very high, it's easy to do. And if the duration of the transformation is very short, that offer is going to fly off the shelves. You don't need a big audience. So as you're putting together the transformation that you're providing in a community, in a PDF, in video trainings, in a webinar, in a course, okay, those three things are things that you want to take into consideration. But having said all of those things, maybe you had an offer and you don't feel like the ease of transformation is easy, or the duration. You're like, Jasmine, but in order for somebody to get a transformation, it's going to take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Okay, no problem. I want you to remember one thing, that success compounds over time. The more that you launch your community, the more that you launch your course, the more that you're pushing those PDFs or those video tutorials, the more that you're pushing your online store, please understand that the success, the lessons that you're learning, they compound over time. The one lesson that you learned from your first launch is more powerful in launch 3, 4, 8, 20. You're no longer repeating the same mistakes. You're smarter, you're sharper, you're wiser, your copy gets better, your sales gets better, your funnel gets better. That is what I mean by success compounds over time. I don't want you launching just one thing once and saying, okay, I'm gonna be done with it. It didn't turn out the way that I wanted. Oh no, honey. I don't want you to have an opinion about your launch until you've launched that thing at least 10 times. Yes. That is the game of digital offers, is understanding that success compounds over time because of the lessons that you are learning. Can I get an amen? All right, Cindy Harvey Online. We're going to end here with a little bit of a heart, soul, mind, gut check. She asks, how do you keep the faith to run through the finish line when it looks like it's not working? I'm going to remind you and anybody else who's feeling it of my truth, that it ain't over until it's over. You might feel, I can't tell you how many times that I have been in a launch, and it's simple math. You have a conversion rate and you have leads. The more leads that you have, you can run that through the conversion rate and get an estimate of how that promotion is going to end. I have been in promotions where I look at our lead count and I'm like, oh, this is 1/3 of the amount of leads that we had anticipated. And if we convert at the rate we normally convert, that we're going to miss our goal by 2/3. You can sit there and feel like, how can I push through? I know how this thing is going to end and we're not going to hit our goals. Then I remind myself, it's not over until it's over. That I will either have this really incredible way to increase the amount of conversions, that I'm going to do something during the sales cycle that's going to blow my mind, that I'm going to learn a lesson along the way that's going to transform the way that I make this offer in the future, that I make an offer or I add a bonus or I add something in there that is going to change the minds of those consumers so that I change my current lead list and I blow my dang mind with those results. But I have to believe that it's not over until it's over. So whatever you decide, you are correct. If you decide that the launch, I'm not going to hit my goals, you're right. If you decide, I am not going to quit until the finish line. I am not going to quit until that cart closes. I am not going to quit until 5:01 p.m. when I said that these doors close at 5 p.m. I want you to make that decision and then I want you to go because you are correct. I want you to leave no crumbs. No crumbs. I want you to add on Q&A sessions. I want you to add on sales calls if you've never done them. I want you to send DMs until your little fingers fall off. I want you to bring in an affiliate. Even if you think it's too late, ask an affiliate. You never know who's going to come along. I want you to do a joint webinar. I want you to do a joint training. I want you to make videos. I want you to make bonuses for other people on the contingency that they're going to make a bonus for you so that you show up. I want you to leave nothing. I had a coach. I played basketball in high school. I know people look at me. You played basketball? Yes, I played basketball. I might be short. I'm tiny, but I'm mighty. I played as a point guard. And my coach always said, leave it on the court. Leave the whole game on the court. He would not be pissed off at us if he said you left everything on the court. And if we didn't leave everything on the court, we were running lines all week at practice. He's like, you leave everything out there. Then you hold your head high. Win or lose. Win or lose. Secondly, I want you to document all the lessons that you're learning. And you do this by having a launch debrief. Remember how I said that success compounds because of the lessons that you learn? You have to document the lessons. After every single launch, the entire team goes to a doc and we say, okay, what really sucked? How do we get better? And what are we going to change? And then all of us in our entirety of our group, we go through and we say, okay, this didn't work. This is what we're changing. This worked really well. We're going to do more of this. So after every single launch, now we have a roadmap of all the things that worked and then all the things that we need to fix for the next one. Success compounds over time. Lastly, I want you to remember as you are launching that gratitude makes everything enough. And it's hard. It's so hard to be grateful when in the middle of it, you feel worried, you feel scared, you feel stupid, you feel vulnerable, you feel susceptible, you feel like everybody's looking at you. And let me tell you time and time again, the only person who is looking at you in the middle of your launch is you looking at yourself in the mirror. Wake up every single day, even though it feels like you got your teeth knocked in, even if it feels like you got punched in the stomach. I want you to say that it's not over until it's over. That I am going to not just finish this launch, even in the middle of it when I feel like it's the worst thing happening, I'm gonna do it again. And the next time that I do it, I'm going to take the lessons that I've learned and I'm going to have compounding success. I am not going to put something out once or twice or 3 times and then have an opinion about it. I have to say, I'm going to put something out 10 times. I'm going to launch it. I'm going to take these lessons and I'm going to get better every step of the way. If you would like to learn more about our launch formula, what has made it successful, how we have gone on to build and create 7-figure launches, I'm inviting you to a live virtual event, the secret to making lots of money with digital offers. You could save your seat at jasminestar.com/digital offer. jasminestar.com/digital offer. I'll make sure that it's in the show notes. Save your seat. I'm going to be teaching these live classes. So be sure to show up there live. We're going to be giving a show up bonus just for you to be there. And I'm also going to be doing a session for your Q&A. So if you want your questions answered about your digital offer, if you want to learn how to make a digital offer and make lots of money, this is going to also be the class for you. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for watching and listening to The Jasmine Star Show.